I want to share with you what I think is the fastest setup for texturing, not for game-ready assets, but for renders and concept art, where it's gonna be a single material that you can quickly customize with sliders and checkboxes. Basically the same as the default shader, but with bells and whistles. I've been using this approach when texturing stuff as a concept artist for almost 3 years now, and it worked quite well for me, saving my ass a couple of times, yet I don't really see other people using it. Let's first address issues of other quick texturing approaches in Blender. Pre-made material collection makes really hard to fine-tune your composition. Editing materials in shader editor takes a lot of time and slowly decreases performance as you branch materials. And the add-ons? Look, maybe there is an add-on out there that solves every problem, but every single one that I've tried were kinda bad. Let's start with a clean Blender file and a default material. I'm gonna switch render to cycles because I really like bevel shader. And so let's add it. Shift A to search and add. Right now, if we want to change the settings of it, we have to go to shader editor, which is not that bad, but as it gets more complex, it's gonna take much more time, and if we are not careful with keeping settings with no inputs the same, we'll start to decrease performance. So let's make the first step towards making it comfortable to use and slowly turning it into the universal material. Select bevel and the default shader. Group it up. Here are the buttons to go in and out of the group. Press N for the side panel. Now in group, let's add an input socket. Call it bevel radius. Let's make it from 0 to 1. You can also set the default. Now that you see it in inputs, plug it into the radius input of the bevel node. You can also create inputs by plugging stuff backwards into the empty socket. Also, there is another way to start. If you group a single default shader, it will automatically create every input for it. So now you can basically have the default shader with a bevel slider. Let's clarify, this is not about exact things that I do. It's about the approach of integrating the things you like into a single universal material. Let's make one more step, lighter edges. Personally, I think it's a very underrated way to make your designs and shapes much more readable, while making it look kinda like a subtle edge wear. So we're gonna shift right click, slice this line to make a reroute dot. Now Shift A, add hue saturation value node, so the color would go into color input. Crank up the value. Also make sure you have Node Wrangler add-on enabled. It's a default one, your Blender has it, just turn it on. Now we can Control Shift left click preview nodes. Let's add geometry node and calculate dot product of the bevel and normal. To change its contrast and invert, I'm gonna use a float curve. It's basically telling how to interpret numbers from 0 to 1, horizontal is the input, vertical is the output. No need to understand it right away, you can just copy what I'm doing or play with it yourself. Now we can use that black and white edge map as the mask for our lightening, plugging it into the factor, so that where it's white or 1, it's gonna change the value, and where it's black or 0, it's not gonna do anything. Now plug it into the color. Now we need a way to control it. A simple solution would be to multiply our mask by a number from 0 to 1, so let's create an input for that, and a multiply node. Another slider. Now let's add smudges. Drag and drop the texture into Blender. Set it to box projection, that way it will work on everything, not just on simple objects that are already unwrapped by default. We need to select the node and Ctrl T to map it. Now, some people use generate as input, don't, use object instead. Just make sure you Ctrl A apply scale of objects in the viewport. Our smudge map makes the roughness very low everywhere if we use multiply, so let's adjust its contrast with another float curve, making it mostly white. And plug the factor into the inputs. Now ask yourself, what do you need in a material? What do you like? What's important for you? And set it up in a similar way. And that's it, create your own universal material to fit your needs. That way you will be able to texture things in minutes while keeping it super performant because it's the same material everywhere. Let's quickly discuss how to approach texturing after you already have your material set up, with mine as an example. So first you press append and select the file that has the material, double click the file, materials, and select the material itself. Great, now it's in your current project. Also, a good idea is to scale models roughly the same to have a good starting point for scale. I personally try to make it similar to the default cube. Don't forget to Shift A apply scale. But you can also add additional sliders for scale for some unorthodox cases. Now let's select an object and set the material. Now select everything, then select the object with the material and search for link materials. Great, now everything has the same material, let's adjust it, and then when we need to branch out, select the object and click on the number next to material to delink the settings. And that's it, you delink and adjust it, delink and adjust. By the way, if you are interested in my material, you can get it on ArtStation to support me. The scratches, dents and smudges are hand painted, specifically designed to work for the material, where you can make the scratches and dents to reveal the metal underneath, a milling effect with adjustable masks, and also the smudges affect both roughness, clear coat and metallic to have really interesting look. And even the simplest options are set up in a way where it will save you a couple of seconds. And it's extremely optimized. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments.